Welcome to the Conscious Radio Network's YouTube channel. Become enlightened, have fun, and tell all your friends and family to share with everyone they know. You can find us on Facebook and stay up to date on our Facebook group, or find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Our podcast can be found on Libsyn, iHeart, Spotify, Google Podcast, and more. Most of all, remember to go to our official website at consciousradionetwork.com for podcasts, posts, future shows, and scheduling. We also want to welcome our international audience. Don't stop now and join the community. Subscribe today.
This is the Conscious Radio Network.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be on this spaceship we call Earth. Welcome to Conscious Radio Network's weekly podcast series, The Weekly Seance. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Paul Mekas. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel, like, share, and comment. Also, don't forget to follow us on our Rumble channel, the uncensored content. Tonight, morning, evening, wherever you might be in this world, it's a big one out there. Doninique O'Gorman, is that how you pronounce your name?
O'Gorman, that's right.
All right, there we go. She's a psychic medium and soul engineer. And she's going to join us, and she is joining us. Going to talk about the work that she does. We'll talk about some of the stuff that's on her website, and kind of get into how she got into this. So let's welcome to the show, Doninique O'Gorman.
Thank you. I'm so excited. So excited.
How did this start? Did this started from childhood?
Yeah, ever since I was a little girl, I could always have nudges when things were going to happen, and I've never remembered a time where I couldn't connect to those that have crossed over. I was very lucky. A lot of families very much shut it down and you don't really see that, whatever. I had a very cool eclectic family, and they were like, really, let's talk about this. Let's explore it. So I was very lucky. And by high school, I was doing tarot readings and stuff like that at a local pizza shops, and just kind of blew up.
That is cool. That is cool.
Very cool.
Especially, I mean, tarot at that young age. I bet, did any teachers go, you can't play that. That's the devil.
Yes, I live in the southern part of North Carolina. It is thick Bible Belt religious things. I have an adult child and a 16-year-old child, and for years once I had kids, I went very shh. We did not do public stuff. People knew they could come to me, but I didn't publicize anything until my child was old enough to start telling her teachers and friends and anybody who would listen. Yeah, my mom talks to dead people. And I was like, well, I guess we can talk about it now. I was trying to help you out, but okay. So yeah. Yeah, we got a lot of kickback around here, but that's okay. That's okay.
Wow. What is the first event that I wouldn't say triggered this, but what event really kind of got you to the point where, wow, I either need to go left, need to go right, and direct you into the field that and the way that you're doing it now?
Right. I had my first big aha moment, I guess. I was in elementary school. I was a very small little girl, and I walked up to my teacher and I told her, I was like, your mom's okay. It's she's fine. And my teacher got very upset. I was in third grade. She was very upset. And I didn't understand why nobody else could see her mother was right here. It's fine. I couldn't differentiate the living from the deceased at that time. Just I would get very frustrated when my family wouldn't talk to my guide that was standing right here. And I would get so frustrated. And finally they called my mom and was like, you need to talk to your daughter. She's acting out. She's pretending, whatever. My mom sat me down and was like, listen, we can talk about this, but we can't talk about it at school. So that's when I realized, okay, this isn't normal. We have to get things to line them up differently. But she was really good about taking me to seminars and finding books for me. We started off with Sylvia Brown and stuff years ago. She was like, here, let's just read it. Just read it. And so I was really lucky. By the time I got in high school, I realized a friend of mine was going to take their life before they took their life, but I didn't understand. How could I fix this. And I couldn't, like, I couldn't fix that.
Yeah.
And that's one of those turning points, I think, when people that do this work, when you have to make peace and understand that you can't control these things. All you can do is share information. We have no control over what's happening, and what people do with it is up to them. But it just makes it, I think I look at death a little bit differently. It's not an ending. They're just going on to the next big adventure. They've got the next part of their life to live. But yeah, that was a very shaky time for a little bit.
Yeah. Now, when you say when you tell people I see dead people, they probably refer that to Holly Joel Osment and
right, because right, that's not how I word. That's how my daughter words it. So now I just roll my eyes and I'm like, really, this is what we're doing. But yeah, I've kind of always been that way. It's a lot easier now to explain to people the way I see it. But yeah, that's kind of what it is. I sat for a long time. Different people call it different things. I'm not a religious person at all. I believe in like spirituality and there's bigger things, but I think the word God or whatever is just a small word for something so much bigger. But I do believe that we are all connected and we have different vibrations and there's different planes of reality and all of that. But I just think they're on a different plane than we are. Like their reality is just a little bit different than ours.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't walk around seeing them the way that old Haley Joel did back in the day.
Yeah, because a lot of people out there think, mediums and psychics see, when we see dead people, it's like, oh, well, it's flesh and blood, and whatnot. It's not exactly like that. But,
Not exactly. Yeah, Hollywood's done a number on the way the human mind perceives that, and that's just not reality. I've tried to explain to people, it's sort of like the way I see it, I call it like my back of my house. I can feel it back here. I can kind of see it in the forefront, but now I can tell like the veil, I guess is what you want to call it. There's a space. And when I finally started really digging into like different realities and how time isn't real, and I was able to like see the difference and make the disconnect between the two when I was a little bit younger, and it made things easier. It really did. But a lot of people associate psychics and mediums as able to do the same thing, and they're very different. A medium can be a psychic, absolutely, but just a psychic doesn't necessarily mean you're a medium. And I think that's a big thing people don't put together either.
Yeah, that big difference.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get too much into that in the show. We've quickly said it, but yeah, a medium and a psychic are two different things.
Two different entities.
Psychic is picking up the energy and pulling the energy and getting information off of that energy. Kind of like a person that does psychometry. When you feel an object, you're pulling information and energy off that object. But
Absolutely.
A medium is literally like picking up the phone.
Yep.
And having direct communication with the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I've had return clients or like a friend of a friend, and the same person will try to come through for them, and I will recognize that spirit that's coming through, but I won't necessarily remember the client that's sitting in front of me because we see a lot of people every week, but I will definitely remember. I'm like, oh, I know you. Like, I've felt you before. I'm like, your caller ID just popped up. I know who you are. Hold on. That's the best way I can think to word it.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring up your website here for those who may want to get a hold of you. So they can find you at DominiqueO'Gorman.com. And let me bring up your website here. What's that? Page two. There we go. Let me make sure.
I know those pictures are so old. I'm so excited to get those redone this week. I'm so excited to get them redone.
So for those who want to go check out her website and look at her services, you can go to DominiqueO'Gorman.com. And you can also they can find you on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook,
all the things.
Send an email right over here. But I like that picture. That's cool. I got friends on the other side.
Yeah, we actually make our merch is really cool. I'm super snarky and I like having I'm super sarcastic. So that was one of the first things that we started selling. I was obsessed with it when I first made them.
That's cool.
I love it.
So explain a little bit of your services through your website.
So we really focus on grief. That's a really big goal of mine. We've done in-life care. I'm a certified death doula. I think people finding confidence and finding a positive outlook on their death is really a game changer in life. It's a huge game changer. It's like a birth doula and a death doula work on the same door, just opposite sides.
Yeah.
And so we really focus on mediumship, of course, connecting loved ones that have crossed over with their loved ones here. We've helped families get closure that way. It's been phenomenal. We've had unsolved mysteries and unsolved murders come through, and a book that's coming out this summer we're working on. We had clients come in and give their experiences, and there's a few stories in there that we've done. We have those that don't want to do the medium connection and they want to just ask questions like past, present, future, finances. They can do just the psychic reading, they can do a mediumship reading, or they can do a combination of both. We're good for whatever. My goal is to meet my client where they're at, whether they want to just, that's very sacred space, in my opinion. And wherever that you need me to hold that space for you, that is your hour or 2 hours, whatever you want to block off. And a lot of the times I end up spending most of that time talking to these people about finding comfort and peace in their grief. And it's not my job to help heal you. I can't do that, but I can hold space for you and we can work through it. And my goal is by the end of each session is you're on your way to beginning your healing through your grief. But the death doula part of it and end of life care has really grown so much in the last few years, and it's phenomenal. I absolutely love that it's growing so much. Death is such a weird taboo topic, and we're getting people comfortable being uncomfortable.
Now, when you say end of life care, is this because when some people refer that to as like hospice, but is this?
We don't do the medical side of hospice. We help people understand you have options. I am a firm believer that this is your life, and this is like your final stage in that you have to play on in your life. A lot of people don't know that there's options out there, and they don't talk about it. So a lot of the times you see people scrambling and families scrambling around like they don't know what to do. Like, what does mom want? What didn't she want? And it's insane. It's absolutely crazy. So people have come to me well before they're passing, right before they're passing, and sometimes right in the transition. And we help them figure out what they want. If you want to be home and you want flannel sheets and you want to make sure that you don't want a lavender candle burning because this mean old lady next door to you always smelled like lavender, so you don't want that smell in your room. Like, your family doesn't know that. So like we help them, and I've noticed it makes people that are afraid of death a little less afraid of death. They're a little bit more like, okay, we can, this transition is not going to be as scary as I thought it was.
Yeah. And the thing is too, is death is really, so many people are afraid of it. They don't want to talk about it. You bring up that subject and it's like, well, that's like, okay.
Gets uncomfortable. People start fidgeting. They start fidgeting in their chairs and looking around. I'm like, no, stop it. It's okay. It's okay.
Especially when you really start talking about, especially when you really start talking about, that's why I very rarely watch horror movies.
I don't watch them.
It throws me into a completely different zone. But I had a conversation with this with somebody. I think this is a recording stuff, but it might be on the Rumble channel. But I was talking about the experiences I had and experiencing some of the parallel lives that I had been experiencing my deaths, multitude of deaths. From a stabbing to a gunshot to, a death in the bed, disease, all kinds of stuff, and experiencing the transition, actually going through the transition. And it seems like, if people, and actually feeling that, you start to recognize your mortality and you start to respect life. And,
absolutely.
And have you had any clients that I don't know. Trying to think of the question. Have you had any clients out there that had come to you and asked you like, okay, how am I gonna die? Or I'm getting. They know they're getting close, but they don't
can feel it.
Right. Yeah, it's like they want to get an idea of the timing
of a time frame.
Yeah.
Now, I do not like to give somebody a time frame because I think that causes sheer panic sometimes. It can really cause people to shake up. Now, I have had clients come in and I'm like, just so you know, your mom needs you to tell her it's okay because she needs to let go and she's only holding on because of you. We have had those conversations plenty of times. Now, I've had clients that have had near-death experiences, which fascinate me. I am obsessed with near-death experiences and people that have gone through them, because people that have, or even somebody like you who's felt that transition of your own death, and it makes you look at life. It's like a game changer. It's totally different. It's like, this is such a minute little piece of like what the greater thing is out there. But no, I do not tell them. I don't feel like I can tell them, like, you're going to die on this day. This is what's going to happen to you. But I wouldn't want to know personally. Like, I don't want to know.
Yeah, me neither. It's like, well, I don't want to spoil the party.
Right. We got big stuff. This is exciting. I don't want to know. Absolutely.
Now, as far as like, and the end of life, meaning that it's kind of like basically at the point of basically their deathbed, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're laying there in bed and you're with the family. And now, have you seen some of the other ancestors come in that are on the other side, kind of, greeting them, kind of like
always happens. I always tell everybody we're all just walking each other home. And that's ultimately what I think we're all doing, whether it's for, you've known somebody for 5 minutes or 10 years. Literally 8 out of 10 times when somebody's getting ready to pass, they will see their husband, their friend, their sister, their dog. They're like, oh, I see them. I'm like, yeah, talk to them. It's okay. Go ahead. Because I feel like they're all just like, I've walked you as far as I can. They're coming to get you to walk you the rest of the way. And I personally love that, because you can see the ease. Like, you can see them like, okay, I'm not scared. I'm not going to be alone. A lot of people think death, they're going to be alone in this dark nothingness. And I'm like, no, they're coming. Just give it a minute. I promise. They're going to be there. Somebody's going to walk with you. Yeah. I love that. I think it's such a cool thing to see, because you can see everything just relax on them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And sometimes
families tend to freak out.
Yeah, and sometimes it happens days before, maybe weeks before.
Yes, absolutely.
Not at the moment. I mean, yeah, it'll happen at the moment, but it's like weeks before, and it's like
you'll see it weeks before.
Talking to people, and reaching out, and and it's like, ooh, so.
It's very cool. That's when you see families that are very healthy and alive freak out. That's when you see them freak out. And they're like, no, nobody's there. I'm like, you need to shut your mouth. I'm I'm here as their advocate. Shut up.
Don't spoil it.
Like, you are ruining something. Leave them alone. They're fine. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's part of in the end of life cares. I'm that person's advocate. No matter what they want or don't want, it is not their job to like play referee with their family anymore. Like, I got you. I got it. Don't worry about it. And it's such an honor to me to be able to hold that space for them. And if that's what they need, then I'm here for it. There's a huge movement. Like Death Wives is a huge company that does it, and they'll train you and certify you. And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. It's really cool.
Now, is this, so you're in the North Carolina area and stuff like that. I don't see too much of that. Is that something that advertises up there, or is like you're kind of like the monopoly
in the
market?
Western part of the state, like Asheboro and stuff? It's very like way more artsy, way more like comfortable out there. The eastern part, like, we're on the ocean. I can get to the beach in 15 minutes. Not so much here, but in the western part of the state, but there's also a lot of Native American heritage there. That's where like the Cherokee Nation, that's where they're at. So we have a lot more open minds on the western part of the state. That's my goal one day, is to have a green cemetery on the western part of the state. I think it'd be very cool. But it's very weird how certain options for your end of life care are so narrow. Like, Colorado only offers certain things. Massachusetts only offers certain things. And I'm like, this is so dumb. Like, why can we not just come on, just give us options here.
Yeah.
But North Carolina's tricky.
Have you are you able to do this remotely rather than just being in the room?
I can. I have had a few death doula clients over the phone. I prefer to be in that space with them. I have no problem traveling to them. Like I don't care. That's if you want me there, it is my honor to be there with you. I will travel. That's not a problem. We do a lot of appointments. If a lot of people start planning these things years in advance, so doing that over the phone is no big deal. Like it's no big deal. But sometimes I will have to call out of clients or interviews or something and be like, I have a death call. I can't. And I don't know if it's going to be one day or a week. So I just clear my schedule until I can come back to work. But for the most part, I try to be in person with them. But I am more than happy to do things on the phone if they need me there. If that's easier for them. Absolutely.
Oh, where's the furthest you've traveled?
The furthest I've traveled, we went to Georgia. We've been to Kentucky, which isn't far. It's like 12 hours. It's not real far.
Yeah.
We have clients in New York. Now, I've had virtual clients as far as Japan, which is really, really cool. Wow. We've had virtual clients. And I haven't gone there because, you know, COVID was shut down until about 6 months ago in Japan. So they wouldn't let anybody in. But I love it. I think it's such a cool way to honor these people's lives. It's so incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. How many clients have you had so far doing this particular?
As an adult, I've probably had about 24. But as I was growing up, my mother was an in-care nurse. So I was raised like in hospice settings. It was very normal for her to take me with her with, you know, I was 14, 15, like helping people bathe and wrapping their bodies and doing the whole thing, you know. And so I think I was really comfortable with death really early. I was like, it's fine. It's okay. And I'm a firm believer in letting people have their dignity at their passing. And hopefully it's going to slowly start growing. Now end of care nurses and hospice nurses are learning like how to have dignity for their patients. Because I have a level of respect for hospice nurses like no other. You see people normally at their very worst at this job. And but I'm a firm believer in giving them dignity and honoring them after their soul has transitioned out. I'm a big believer in that for sure.
Yeah. Wow.
I want to say it's New Jersey has started an ethics training course for their hospice nurses. I just did a live with New Jersey Paranormal, and I think the nurse that came on said that it's now part of the hospice training. I want to say it's in New Jersey.
Huh. That's cool.
I think it's really cool.
Now I wanted to touch in on something because I as a medium as well, I picked up on something on you when you were briefly talking about the hospice and being in and growing up and stuff like that with your mother. Immediately I got something, an energy from your side that I've never actually done this on the air.
I love it. I love it.
But
I don't get to be on this side very often.
Right. I see that you had a past life and past experience in the Middle East and Egypt. And I see you working with some of the priests in Egypt as a caregiver interestingly enough, end of life. But you were also one of those that had wrapped the mummies.
I believe that.
During that era. But you also had in other lifetimes too, through in the Middle Eastern portions and stuff like that. I was picking that up like immediately. I saw that energy. I'm like, whoa. So
well, what's funny is I have like onks and I have all kinds of stuff tattooed on me. So I get
there
it.
You go.
Totally get it. Yeah, one of the first like past life. I don't know what you want to call it, but the first time I had my first like real energy jolt where my soul like slammed back in my body was when some friends of mine went to Greece for the Sacred Women's School, and they were flipping through their phone and showing me pictures. And you know that moment when like 1,000 things hit you and that gate opens and that life floods back in. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I was like, there are cliffs there. And I know for a fact I've jumped off of those. That's how I died. And she was like, I don't know. And I was like, okay, well, I don't care. I know. I could smell it. You could taste it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, when that gate opens. So of course my tail starts digging and I start looking, and there was a group of priestesses there. And that's what they did, is they were prophets and they lived in these caves. And at one point in time, a different country came in and all the priestesses jumped off the cliff, and that's how they all died. And I was like, what? That was my first holy crap, this could be real. Like, I never thought I could tap into my own past lives. And when that happened, I literally freaked out. I was like, let me just sit down and not do anything for a day or two. And let me just sit with this. But like, and honestly, I don't think I've ever told anybody this story, but you were talking about how when you started having those past life, like, you understand, like, you could taste it, you could feel it, like, you get it. It was very wild. It was absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. Yeah. And unless people, and anybody can experience these things. And normally once they tap into them, that's when the flood starts. And once you open that door, it's just, all comes in. And it's, yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Once a medium, always a medium. Once a psychic, always a psychic. Once you open up that door, it's like, it's never going to shut, but you can manage it. You can manage.
Absolutely. We can manage. I've had to be like, no, we're not doing this today. We can definitely do that. Yeah. Like, and normally once people start diving into this stuff, they find this rabbit hole that leads to this rabbit hole that leads to that rabbit hole. And then they realize they didn't like lose gifts, because I believe that we're all born with a connection to this other side. I think once we start tapping into it, it comes back. It's not that it was ever gone. It's like buried. And now we're like pulling the layers off. And now it's all starting to come back to us. And I think it's so beautiful. And I'm so glad there's like an awakening happening. Around the world, you can see things becoming a little bit more okay and a little bit more okay. Like when we were growing up, we only had like Sylvia Brown and like later on James Von Prague, like that was it. And now you've got kids like Tyler Henry, and you've got like different paranormal, and it's very normal and very cool. And I love that. We didn't have that growing up. I think that's so great that we have that.
Yeah, like back in the 70s and 80s, we had Jeannie Dixon and stuff, and when they worked with the Reagans and worked with all the presidents and stuff like that, and it's like, what?
And we didn't.
And even today, all the aristocrats and socialites and millionaires and billionaires and presidents, kings and queens of the world still use psychics and mediums.
They do.
To consult with all the time.
All the time. They really do. And it used to be very hush-hush, things we don't talk about, things that were buried that we don't talk about. And that's such a huge thing that I've really been pushing the past 2 years, is we have to take these taboo topics and they have to become uncomfortable. And if it makes you uncomfortable, good. That means you're growing and you're not just sitting like in this weird little state of, I don't want to live like that. I want to have these uncomfortable conversations.
And that's the thing, the people that I work with, my regular job, most of the people that have known me for a while, they're getting a gist from other people and stuff like that of the work that I do, other than the podcast. They're always talking about, they'll throw the word ghost out. Have you seen any ghosts lately? Or this or that or right? And you can tell the way that they say it. Right. It's just like mockery. Right. Until something happens to them that they can't explain. Then they come running and going, dude, I just saw something the other night. I can't explain it. Can you help me?
Can you help me? Can you talk to me about this? I love that. And I love that. And I love when, like, at the beginning of your YouTube, you have like seance and what it means. Because people think seance and they're like, I'm like, stop. I see it on your face. I see your eyes rolling. Stop. That's not even what that means. Technically, we are sitting together. This is what we are doing.
This is a seance.
This is a seance. Calm down. This is not Hollywood. Chill out.
Right.
Absolutely. I loved it. The first time I was like, oh, I love it already. It's going to be great. It's so nice. So good.
Yeah. So you said you have a book out, correct? Or you have a book coming out?
We have 2 coming out because I can't just sit still, and that's not how I work. A few years ago, I started trying to find grief books for my clients, like a good grief book. And they're all like cookie cutter grief books, and it's just not it. And I mean, that may be great for some people, but that's not reality to me. Yeah. So pretty much the first book we're working on is a grief workbook. Have you seen those like trash my journals at like the bookstores where you write in them and tear them up and stuff? That's pretty much what this grief book is. It's for like you to use it, like really use it. There's pages for you to put your playlist for your friends that when something happens to you, here's my playlist. And here's a cool place to put your Spotify link so you can click it and they can take it with them. And here's a place for you to write down why you're really, really, really ticked off at them while they were dead. Because for some reason, people think they can't be mad at somebody if they're dead or talk bad about them. Like, I was mad at people when they died. Like, that's okay. They're fine. They can handle it. But it's a grief book for the living is what it is. And it's meant to be used, not like, oh, that's pretty and sit on a shelf. I want you to use it and carry it with you and fold it up and stick it in your back pocket and, write in it when you need to. And the other one is coming out hopefully in August. Our goal is the last week in August. It should be in print. But it's called Are We Dead Yet? Living Beyond Death. And it's my experiences growing up as a medium and the different lessons that death has given us to process through life. Because that's where I've definitely discovered my greatest lessons about life come from the dead, for sure. And it's been a work. It's been a long time coming, and it's been slowly building for a long time, and it's happening. And we're just do it all at once. Like, just gonna do it all out there at one time. One summer, we're knocking them both out. So one's coming out in June, one's coming out in August. So.
And these they can find eventually on your website, correct? As
soon as we have them, like the pre-order links, they will be dropped on our website.
Awesome.
So excited.
Now as far as regret, there's a lot. I get a lot of questions like this every now and then that and it also just came into mind to ask this question is, have you had any clients come? Well, first question is, what is the most common question people ask or clients ask from to get from the spirit or their loved one that is on a deathbed, and is afterwards or just before their passing, I would assume that regret that they didn't have closure on a particular thing.
Oh, absolutely. Regret's such a tricky thing. We get into some really deep conversations about regret at my house. My partner doesn't believe in regret, and I'm like, we all got regrets. And he's like, no, you can't change it. But the number one question every time, every single client I have, no matter how confident they are or whatever, by the end of it, they're like, but are they okay? And I'm like, they're fine. So normally when I do a reading, I have like a little spiel I give them, and this is what happens and this is what this reading is going to look like. And I'm like, I promise you they're okay. I'm going to tell you now, they're okay. If they're not okay, I will tell you. That's one reason that I think I stand out a little bit from other people in my line of work. I do not sugarcoat stuff. If they were an asshole in life, I'm going to tell you, like, listen, they may grow up, but they still going to have an attitude with you. I mean,
oh yeah,
that is what it is. That's okay. That's part of it. And normally closure's a really big one. Normally for people that have already transitioned, though, their biggest concern and what they carry the most for their loved ones that are here is, did I make a difference? Do they know I love them? That's mainly what they want to know. They're like, do they know I'm sorry? Do they know I love them? And did I make a difference at all during my life? Normally, those are the things that souls carry for me to share with their loved ones. Then almost always comes up. And a lot of them have a lot of guilt. People, depending how they passed away, whether it was their decision to or whatever was going on, they have a lot of guilt and regret. But I think part of crossing over, we have to kind of process our lessons in the next life that, we may or may not have processed in this one. But that's normally the one they want to let go of. And until they connect with their loved ones. And I always tell people, you don't need me to connect with your loved ones. You can talk to them. They're around you. So talk to
them. She disappeared. All right.
She's like talking. But it's so cool. But when spirits connect and they have this guilt and regret and stuff, and the loved one, I'm like, just tell them it's okay. Like, make your peace with them. If you want to yell, cry, whatever, but let them know it's okay that they have let go, or let them know you forgive them. That helps them evolve on. That helps them move forward and let go in their life here. It really does. But yeah, are they okay? Are they all right? Are they hurt? It's normally the first questions clients ask me. I'm like, no,
yeah.
They're good. I promise they're good.
And
I mean, I've had a few that have been stuck, but for the most part, they're good. They really are.
Yeah. That and the forgiveness factor. And that can go to both on either side. The living can be like, I want to know if they forgive me for talking to them that way, or or acting this way at this point in their life. And then on the other side, it's like, I just hope that, they could forgive me before, as I'm passing over, it's like,
right. Yeah, absolutely. We'll have, I had a mother that had crossed over with her, and her daughter came to see me, and she came forward and she was like, I am so sorry. Please tell my daughter I'm sorry. And I told her, and she's like, oh, my mom wouldn't say that. And her mom literally was like, hey, I tried. If you don't want to, if you don't want to believe it's me, then don't call me again. I'm good, kind of thing. Like, don't come looking for a message from me. I'm trying to give it to you. So bitterness can come from both sides, and that's a forgiveness thing. And I'm like, you guys, let's just simmer it. Like, let's just simmer it. But yeah, forgiveness is a huge one. Regret and forgiveness are huge. They really are. And I'm a very big believer. And if you love somebody, you need to tell them. It doesn't matter if that's your friend or whatever, like, make it weird. I don't care. I am quick to tell somebody, like, hey, I love you. Let me know you got home okay. Give me a text to let me know you got where you're going. To me, that's another form of saying, hey, I love you. Because those things matter. Those things save people's lives every day, like every day. There was a man that jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge when I was reading his story. I love looking at medical journals and about different past life experiences and near-death experiences. And he left a note for his loved ones. And he said, I'm going to the bridge to jump. And if one person smiles at me, I won't jump. Well, he jumped. And I'm like, we have no idea how these little moments in time, these little pieces of what we do every day can change the outcome of an entire world. And we have no idea. So try to be kind. Try to be like a decent human being. I'm not saying we're all going to be all love and light. That's not how we roll. Like, let's get real. But you can be a decent person. Like, just, it takes so little to make such a big difference. It really does. It really does.
Just a little bit of kindness goes a long, long way.
It does. I'm a huge believer in gratitude. We practice gratitude. Like, it's part of our breathing in our home. We really do. It's huge. Makes a difference.
Yep. Well, that pretty much wraps up our
Awesome.
show for the for this episode, and
Awesome.
I do appreciate your time, and you're welcome back anytime.
Yeah, I love it. This I've definitely when I found your podcast, I've just been listening all day. It's great.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. And and when the books come out and stuff like that, just let us know.
Thank you. And, I definitely will.
Do a show and tell.
Yes, I would love that. We'll sit here and like tear up a journal. It'll be great. Like, look, this is how you deal with a grief journal. You rip it out and throw it away. It's great. So much fun.
Heck yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, Dominique, I appreciate it. Thank you very, very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being on. And just keep us posted.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a great weekend.
You do the same. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for watching Conscious Radio Network. And until next week, we'll see you then.